back, part 2, chatting with the doctors. And in this segment, Renua and Precious, doctors on the frontline, will be giving us their advice for going forward and for the current lockdown situation as well. So we are back to you, ladies. Can we start with you, Precious? What advice would you give us?
Okay. What advice would I give going forward? So some of this stuff, I've taken some time to think about it, and some of the stuff is me just talking to myself, what works for me, what some of the stuff I'm saying to my patients, some things that other people have found helpful. So I think it's really important with any advice that you get, that you think about personalize it to you, and if you need to seek support, make sure you seek the right support and the channels that you would normally use to do that. One of the things I would say is to recognize and engage that it is okay to be stressed in the middle of a stressful situation. So anxiety in the middle of a pandemic is normal. Sometimes I think we can medicalize things that our body's telling us that this situation is real, it's fearful. And so just recognizing that and starting off with and saying that it's a stressful situation and I'm stressed as a result of this. And that's okay. And lots of people are in that situation, okay? And the thing I was going to say is don't ignore it. Some people like to just put things in the back of the head and saying it's not happening. It's just happening. It is happening. Don't ignore it. And the fear is real. Engaging with our emotions is really important. So rather than just saying, I'm not scared, I'm not scared, I'm not scared, you're not convincing anybody. You are scared. What am I, how am I feeling? Engage with your emotions. I'm scared. This is what I'm thinking. And when I'm scared, I do this. I don't eat. I overeat. I do lots of different things so that you can actually then engage with thinking about thinking so that you know what's happening and then you can do something about it. Okay?
Yep.
Other thing I've written down here is, just so you know, there's about 8 of them, just so that you're working out what's happening. So I thought I'd let you know. So we're at number 2, maybe 9. So the other thing I think it's really important is to keep informed. And there's so much information out there, and actually you need to know what's factual. I need to know what's factual for be able to share things to other people that I'm giving advice to. So know where to look for the right information. And do you know how the virus spreads? Do you know what it is? I mean, some people don't know what the virus is and how it spreads, but they're spreading news about the virus. So look up information about what things are so that you can actually keep informed and be able to have truthful information. And when you do know something, what do you do about it? So do what you know, do what we've told you to do the things that we know is helpful, and continue with that. You'd mentioned previously in the last video, Ren, where you're talking about well-being and what it means. I've got the World Health definition here. Can I read it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
the World Health Organization defines well-being as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So you can still look after.
Just use well-being in the definition of well-being.
Yes, I did. Is that all right?
No, that's not all right.
So you can look after your well-being and still have disease and infirmity ongoing. So it's not just the absence of disease or infirmity. It's it includes all these different avenues. And so it's important to sort of think about it. Are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Are you taking your multivitamin gummy bears? Are you, what are you doing in terms of the physical, social? Who are you talking to? What are you letting go into your head? So these things are really important. So it's important not to forget that. And as you're thinking about what are you doing, you need to have a plan for what you're doing. So, sometimes you can just wake up and stumble into the day. It doesn't really work that well. For some people it does, but for me, I find that if I wake up and stumble into my day, I just end up not doing the things I thought I was going to do, and then it just doesn't work. So you need to plan what you're going to do. So it may well be that if you never used to schedule things down right and plan what you're going to do, then plan it. If it's planning what you're going to have for breakfast, planning when you're going to phone your friend, planning when you're going to go for a walk. If you know you're going to do it at 2 o'clock, you do it at 2 o'clock. If you think, I'll do it tomorrow, maybe I'll see how I feel. Your emotions, yes, they're valid, but if you just go with how you feel, it doesn't always work. So think about just planning, scheduling, and actually do things in advance of what you're going to do, okay?
Yep.
Another thing that's really important is shifting your focus. There's so much happening at the moment in the world, whether it's in your heart, in the pandemic, shift your focus. And in Philippians, the book in the Bible, it talks about be not anxious. And actually, I'm just going to read it. It talks about, says, do not be anxious for anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, Present your request to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think and meditate on such things. Now, I've got lots of quotes around my house, but this is one of them, because actually it tells you, it reminds me that anxiety will happen. It doesn't say, you know, brothers and sisters, you will not be anxious. It says, when you are anxious, do this. And this is one way to think about things. And I think it applies to people with or without faith. If you think about it, it tells you to pray in every situation, to be thankful and actually ask God, shift your focus. What am I doing now? What are you focusing on? Is it things that are pure? Is it things that are true? What are you meditating on? We tell people at work about mindfulness and breathing exercises. And so I don't want you to be having a picture of the pandemic in front of you whilst you're meditating. I want you to be thinking about the true things, the noble things, and the pure things, okay? So if you find, I was going to give a quick story. So last week, I've been quite calm. And one day I remember I woke up and I was very fearful. I started to think about death. I was talking to patients about death, talking about relatives about death. There was deaths of healthcare professionals all over the news. There was just lots of death around me. And I was kind of thinking, you know, that could be me, that could be somebody else. And it was, and it is indeed other people. And you think, what if I die? What's going to happen? And I just remember being quite fearful in all of that. And I spoke to a friend and I kind of reflected on a few things. And I kid you not, the next day, the morning devotion that I do, it was about death. It was very much about death and reminding me that, you know, as a Christian, death is not the end. And so I just remember thinking it was just such an encouraging thing that I needed to be reminded of the things that I know to be true. Yes. Sometimes I think we think that, you know, when you're a Christian, you just keep going and everything will be fine. That's not true. Everything is not going to be fine. And so things will be fine, yes, in the end, but the end maybe not now. And so just recognizing that even when you're thinking, I'm calm, I can do this, you can still have moments where you have a dip and you need to just remind yourself of the truth to bring yourself back up. Yeah. One thing I also do is I write quite a lot. I've already talked about that, and I think it's therapeutic and it helps with your planning in terms of what to do. And it allows you to put steps and actions. I like ticking boxes. I actually like write boxes for things that I've already done so I can tick it. So
that's all I'll say.
I tick boxes. It makes me feel better, okay?
Makes list from lists.
Exactly. Now, the other thing that I find quite helpful is thinking about others, right? Actually, doing something for somebody else. Shift the attention from yourself. Now, for me, I find it a wonderful way to be encouraged when I kind of think, right, I've got skills. What can I do for other people? There are people who are losing jobs, people who are doing other things. How can you serve others in all of this? And actually, sometimes when we take a step of faith and think about how we can help other people, it just changes your perspective, because it reminds you that, yes, I don't have to worry about my children. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about that. You can actually do something else. So distracting yourself with these good things is what's important. Don't ignore it, but actually think, how can you shift your focus, plan things and do things for other people? Asking for help is okay. And I'm telling myself that as well. You girls are going to laugh at the inside, because I don't like, asking for help is fine. Yeah. And sometimes it's food that you need. Sometimes it's medical help that you need. Other times it's toilet roll. It was out, you know, you need to be able to buy these things. And if you can't find it, you need to phone your neighbor and be like, sorry, did you buy the last toilet roll? Maybe they did. In which case, you need these things. How are you going to know if you don't ask for help? So asking for help, knowing, I think that God has placed so many people around us to do life with. And sometimes it's Renua that I need to phone. And trust me, I have phoned her on many occasions. Sometimes it's yourself and other people. And so just think about the people around you. Just as you're thinking, help other people, it may just be that you make a phone call and they're thinking, actually, I was waiting for that to happen. So asking for help is okay. Seeing lots of different things and the opportunity to grow. I remember I was on holiday one time and I phoned a friend to moan about the situation I was in, and she just said to me, Precious, character building, Precious. And I'm like, I didn't phone you for that. So I was like, I didn't phone you. I phoned you for sympathy. And she just reminded me that in all seasons of life, it's an opportunity to grow and to learn. So yes, we don't have to look for bad things to grow, but whilst we're in the bad thing, what is it that you're learning? What is it that you're growing in? Are you stronger? Are you shaken? What's happening? How are you dealing with things? So really think about that. And then lastly, to kind of choose to do things differently, choose to trust. We don't know, change is going to come, it's inevitable. We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. We think we know what's going to happen, but what we do know is that God is good, God is in control, and God is real. And whether we believe it or we don't believe it, some people do, other people don't. And at times like this, we're starting to then choose. Do I choose to believe? Do I choose not to believe? When I do believe, what does that look like? And just thinking practically about what steps to take is really important. And I think that even though you think that, you know, we know everything, the reality is that we don't fully understand. The secret things belong to the Lord. But the things that are not secret, I know, like what I need to do in terms of wake up, brush my hair, go and do different things. There's things you can do what you can do, and the things that you can't do, leave it to God. And I have 2 more stories. Can I share one more thing?
Yes.
One more thing. And so this week I was at work, and I don't normally talk about work, but it was because it happened at one after the other. And so one of them was for it was a lady who was pregnant, and this was the beginning of her pregnancy. There was a few things going on, and it wasn't clear what was happening, but essentially lots of the things that she was talking about was all very normal in keeping with pregnancy. She was very worried about what was going to go wrong. Should I tell my parents? Should I tell people I'm pregnant? What do I do? What do I do in all of this? And we're talking about different things. And sometimes you just say, for some people, they tell people when the baby's conceived. Other people tell people when the baby's born. And actually, there's a whole range of different ways of doing things. And she could choose what was best for her in that moment. And yes, she said to me, but I've never been pregnant. And I'm like, yeah, thank you for telling me you've never been pregnant. But other people have been pregnant. And actually, we know what we can do in this situation. Yes, we want to be excited about the pregnancy that you have within you, but we also want to know that if things do change, what do we do about it? When do we seek medical attention? It doesn't mean you're not excited in that season. It does mean that you look out for things happening. Please take your vitamins now, but if you get bleeding in a few weeks, please phone me. So lots of different things we're thinking. And then after that, the man came in who I needed to see. Unfortunately, this was a sad case in that with the symptoms, he almost certainly had a diagnosis of some form of a cancer. And he was worried about lots of different things. And he was worried about his wife, and he was worried about, he's never been unwell before. Life has been okay for him. And I just remember saying to him, yes, even though we think that this is almost certainly cancer, we've got to be honest and say what we're thinking. But what can we do now? At the moment, I can tell you that your wife has been looked after. At the moment, I can tell you that this is happening. Why don't we do this? And then we can work out what our options are. We can always choose to decide which part of the story to hear. There's so much happening. And I just wanted to remind myself that it doesn't matter what's going on. There's just here, there, and so many different things that we can choose which part of the story we want to hear. It doesn't make it go away. Of course, it doesn't make it go away. It doesn't mean it's not important. We don't ignore the sadness that's happening, but we do engage with our emotions, address it, do what we know to do. And the things I don't know, I'm happy that I don't know, and I just trust and leave that to God. Okay? That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Love that, Pressure. That's so beautiful. You're saying the thing is surrounding us, but how we respond is important.
It's really important.
Don't ignore it, but we respond with what we know how to do so we can move forward in this season as well.
Yes.
Lovely. Thanks for that, Precious. And what about you, Dr. Renua?
I mean, how can I add to that? Precious has just really eloquently and beautifully just summarized really, what I would say. And I guess I would just summarize and say that, this will pass. This is just a season, humans, we're so, just the way we are, we react to the moment, and then 10 years later this will all be history. So just bear that in mind. It's easier to say, obviously, it's much harder when the reality is you're losing your loved ones and there's a real sense of fear. So as Precious has said, I would just echo and say, it's just really important during this time that you reach out if that's required, even if it's a text message, even if it's a phone call, or even if it's just a help, I'm not okay, just let the words we say mean a lot more. So just, how are you, really mean how are you. I'm not well, let's really mean I'm not well, I need some help. It's not a sign of weakness when you're asking for other people to help you. It's just, as in fact, if anything, is bravery that you're recognizing that you're needing somebody else to help you. So and then there's some people who genuinely don't have others to help them, and that's really hard. And like, all I'll say is, there's organizations, churches, there's so many people who are just willing to pour into you right now. And if you're watching this and you feel that you want to get in touch, please do. I'm sure there's lots of information out there as well. And the other thing I'll say is, it's really important you guard your heart as well. In terms of practical advice, just stick to what the government is saying. We recognize that they may not be perfect, but we're all walking through this together. There's just so much garbage out there. So it's just really important that you sieve the information properly. And another thing I'll say as well is, if you do have genuine medical concern, please see your doctor, because we're still looking after non-COVID related issues. And it's really heartbreaking when, I see a patient who's had a stroke and didn't do anything about it because they don't want to overwhelm the doctors. No, we're here for you as well. So, if you really have a non-medical problem, it's really important to let us know. Phone your GP, like Precious, or phone 111. Understandably, things are busy, but we still want to know. It's really important. So that's definitely a message I'd want to share right now. And just stay hopeful. The sun is shining. I mean, isn't it interesting that we've had great weather during this time? I honestly believe, it's just part and parcel of the good things that to come. And really, I don't want people to say I'm very churchy.
Yes,
but
no, I know.
I really think that, normally Glasgow is really gloomy, and we've mostly had good weather. Again, it's just a sign. Personally, I see it's just God saying, I hear you, I'm here. Yeah. That's what I say. And like, just to quickly share, as a Christian as well, it's been such an opportunity during this time as well. Like the other day, I actually haven't shared this with anyone at all, but the other day I prayed for a patient at work. And that was just really fantastic. This was a patient I was looking after who wasn't really well at all. And, you could just, like, when you're not well in hospital, it's really hard because you don't have the family support at all because they can't come to you. And it's in fact, that's probably the hardest thing of my job at the moment. Just wanting to give my patients more and I can't. Not in physical sense because I have all the medicine that I need, but just the emotional sense because I know that they also need that support from their family. And unfortunately, we can only do that virtually at the moment because we have to ensure their family are safe as well. So that's really hard. And then, but this patient I saw just was really sad, going through a tough time, and just, he talked about getting a chaplain, and I said, can I pray for you? And I did. And it was such an amazing opportunity to do that. And, that's not something I would naturally do at work because I can't inflict my own beliefs on anybody at all. And what was really interesting is after that happened, I also shared it with my colleagues as well. And I said, this has just been really amazing. I've just prayed for this person. And they didn't even know I was Christian. Again, just an avenue for me to just say, hang on, there's somebody waving God's banner here if needed. So that was Yeah, so be encouraged, guys. Be encouraged.
I totally agree. This is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to be a light in the darkness. And actually, with everything we do with permission, sensitivity, and respect, because actually, we're spiritual beings. Whether people believe or they don't believe, there are people who are praying at the moment who don't believe, and there are people who are praying who do believe. And actually, for some people, being able to be there for them, whether it's the chaplain, the imam, whatever it is, just so many different ways to be able to look after people. How can we look after all of you, not just your physical? We're talking about well-being, not just your physical, yes, here's go exercise, but also your spiritual being, which is just as important, your emotion, your social being, and just learn how to look after yourself, look after others, is really important. And yeah, we don't know, I always kind of say, we don't know what tomorrow holds, but we know who's got tomorrow, and we just need to learn to trust him. And if we don't learn to trust him, we can learn to know him, know how to trust him. I'm still working through this journey, and certainly just, yeah, I've been encouraged by speaking to you girls, and see that's why I like you.
Thank you very much.
But you encourage me, so find people to encourage you, because you can't let your speech be seasoned with grace. You can't go wrong with people encouraging you with good things. And I can keep talking, but I think I should probably stop. And
thank you so much, ladies. The Frontline is on fire. I mean, I'm encouraged speaking to you. I'm just so encouraged to hear that you guys are so upbeat in a 360 way, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You just gave me a whole sermon. So I'm I'm so happy to hear that you're so positive, you are keeping well, and that you're actually encouraging us. So that's a beautiful thing. Thank you so much for sharing all your expertise professionally. Thank you for sharing your faith, and I'm hoping that we'll see you more at the Well of Wellbeing, right?
No comments.